Welcome back to the show. We turn now to Democratic challenger Shireen Ghorbani. Shireen, great to have you with us. Welcome to Inside Utah Politics. Appreciate having you here. Let's start with your background. This is your first venture into politics. Tell us a little bit about you, what you've been doing, and what you think prepares you for this run.
Yeah, thanks. It's so nice to be with you. So I am a person who has always been a voter, always been actively engaged and informed on my local politics. And after the 2016 election, I just felt that it was time for us to get some fresh blood, some new voices out there that are really making an argument about Utah values and what it is that we would like to see in Washington representing us.
What do you mean by the 2016 election? Just the divisiveness that you saw out of that?
Yeah, I think
it kind of drew you in?
It was a few things. So one were two candidates at the top of the ticket that I think a lot of people had a hard time getting behind.
On both sides?
On both sides. And I think that, trickled down to feeling like I didn't feel like I had great choices at my state level. Certainly down at my, I guess I should say at the federal level, down at my state level, I'm well represented. I think I've got excellent representation in the legislature and on the city council, and even for the mayor, I live in Salt Lake City. But when I think about some of the things that are most important to Utahns, the things that I hear over and over again, it felt like the votes that were being taken were really out of touch with what mattered to me, matters to my community, and then what I'm realizing is matters beyond just Salt Lake City. I have yet to meet a person that's not concerned about where we're headed with healthcare, workers' wages, clean air, making sure that we're doing right by our environment, and standing up when we hear bullies talking.
Okay, we'll get more into those specific issues in just a minute, but I want to hit on something you said, because I was going to ask, this is your first run, why not start at the city council level or, run for state house, as opposed to jumping right into this federal seat, but you pretty much say it's because you feel like you're represented in those areas.
I am represented in those areas. The other thing is I got into this race because of healthcare, which I know we'll talk about more, but...
Actually, let's go ahead and lead right into that, because that is one of your key topics that you're running on.
So in 2016, the personal and political collided for me in a really real way. I lost my mom to pancreatic cancer, and it was over the course of about 6 weeks. We got a call, she got the diagnosis in June, and by August 16th, she had died. August 19th, she had died. In that span of time, I saw up close how quickly families can lose everything when a major health crisis hits. I'm lucky, she was on Medicare, and it was a system, as a working single mom, she paid into that system her entire life, and it was there for her when she needed it. And we saw, I don't know if you know anyone who's had pancreatic cancer, but it rips.
No, I know,
it goes
very
fast,
devastating.
right? So things escalated quickly, and she spent kind of working through some interventions, and then 4 days in an ICU, and then died in a hospital. We didn't even have time to get her into hospice care.
Sorry to hear that.
Those bills stack up quickly, and families that don't have large savings or employer-based insurance are struggling. And I meet them all over this district that have lost everything because of a healthcare incident. I got in this race because what I was seeing at the federal level was a representative who wasn't coming to the table with solutions for working families on healthcare.
So what is your solution? Would you like to continue to see the Affordable Care Act?
What I'd like to see is serious efforts to control the ballooning cost of healthcare. So there are some really simple examples. If we allowed Medicare and Medicaid to negotiate drug prices at the federal level, you and I as taxpayers would be spending less. We could spend less. That was something that Trump campaigned on, allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices at the federal level. I support that, but we can't get it done. Our Congress won't do it. They're tabling it. We're not even going to talk about it until after the midterms. That's not the right decision for our dollars, So that's one example. Looking at the ballooning cost of administration in healthcare, looking at the huge profits that insurance companies are making. There's something out of whack there when we're seeing, nurses and doctors doing their very best to provide care to people, and then seeing this huge system of profit off of that, and fewer people getting care. It's not right.
There are a lot of things I'd like to touch base on, but we need to move on. But one thing I really want to hit on real quick that you said is it's not getting done in Congress. You're right.
Yeah.
Nothing's getting done in Congress. So how can you as one person go in and change that on health care?
I think we've got a real opportunity. There's a sentiment in this country that it's time for change. There are hundreds of candidates running all over this nation that are ready to get big money out of the driver's seat in terms of our politics. I'm not accepting a single corporate dollar, and I know there are many others that are not doing that as well. So we're going to have the opportunity this year to elect people that are willing to work and ready to work on behalf of everyday people and not whoever writes them the biggest check.
Let's get into economic policies. That's something you are interested in as well. What needs to change along those lines in your eyes?
So I'm really disappointed that we see this big tax break that went to really the wealthiest and to shareholders in large corporations. That's not translating down to everyday workers getting wages. I just ask people to pay attention. You know, we keep hearing the economy's doing great, the economy's doing great. When are we going to start to say workers are doing great? They're seeing more money in their paychecks. They're seeing more money in their pockets. They're able to buy that first house or care for, you know, a sick parent or something like that. We know that workers continue to experience higher and higher healthcare costs, and wage stagnation is real. People aren't seeing those dollars come back into their pockets. So really shifting that and making sure that workers are the focus. And there are a few things when we think about the tax break. If we would have focused on the earned income tax credit, so that's dollars coming back into working people's pockets, if that would have been the priority, I would have been very excited to see that move forward, but that's not what we got.
Let's move, I have about a minute left. Let's move on to some of your campaign strategy. You've been knocking on a lot of doors.
Yeah.
Is that the best strategy in your opinion?
So what we know is that the only thing that's going to determine if somebody comes out to vote for someone new in particular is that person-to-person contact. And the other thing that I know is that we hear a lot about how divided we are. This is the most divisive time. That's just not my experience at the door. It's person-to-person, decent conversations where we talk about our shared values like honesty, integrity, and strong moral leadership, and we're able to connect. So yes, we are already knocked on over 13,000 doors, and we're going to keep going. And that's from Farmington to Tooele, to here in Salt Lake City and Cedar City and down to Washington County. We know that hasn't been done by a Democrat in this race, and so we're here really doing it to let people know you care about working families, you care about healthcare, I'm here for that.
All right, where can our viewers find more about you?
So you can learn more about me at ShireenForCongress.com, and that's SHIREEN, ShireenForCongress.com.
All right.
You can also find me on Facebook, same thing, you know, Instagram and Twitter.
Okay, thanks so much for your time, we appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
Stay with us. Right after the break, our panel is going to be weighing in on this race in the 2nd District and much more. We'll be right back.